Hello, this is Paul Hoyt. I want to welcome you to today's Office Hours presentation. Office Hours is a relaxed, informal mentoring program that we do every Monday at noon Pacific time, well, almost every Monday. We didn't do it last Monday because of a couple of different technical errors that we had. My internet got shut down like right at 11 o'clock when I was preparing for it, and we also realized that I had made another mistake. So this one was originally scheduled to be on October the 20th, and it got delayed 1 week. This recording is going to be available online for a few days, and then all recordings will be archived in our members area. And then all of these recordings are now going to be made live on YouTube as well. So if you remember one of the recordings that you have listened to in the past or attended live, or if you find one in the library that you think might be valuable to a colleague, a friend, an associate of yours, then you'll have the ability to just send them to my YouTube channel and tell them to look up, Office Hours number 13 or 26 or 42 or whatever the right number is, and they'll be able to listen to it and gain value from the information as well. The reasons I do Office Hours is because I know that being a successful entrepreneur, a business owner, can be a great experience, but I also know that it's tough. You really need great education, training, the tools and the team to really be successful in your business. I want you to get to know me because when you get to know me, you'll know that I really do care. I really want you to succeed. Here's my statement on that I came up with a couple of weeks ago, and it goes like this. First and most importantly, I care about you. I want you to succeed in every area of your life, whatever that means to you. I want you to find the greatness, the happiness, the divinity within yourself, and then remember it, embrace it, and live it every day, which is what I try to do every single day of my life. My experience is that when you practice doing that day after day after day, that you can come to live a most joyful and peaceful and powerful life, and that's really what I want for you. The agenda for our calls is the same all the time. We have an in-depth discussion of a business success principle. I offer some closing remarks, some special offers, and an invitation for next week's sessions. And then we have open questions and answers. So as you're listening to the broadcast today, if you think of any questions that you might want to share or discussion topics that you might want to share with us, jot them down or actually put them into the window associated with the webinar, and Stephanie will collect those questions at the end of this session and offer them to us, and we'll have a nice Q&A period as well. During the call and later on, I invite you to join us with our Brilliant Business group on Facebook. You can get there by going to facebook.com and searching for Brilliant Business or entering the URL https:/facebook.com/groups/Brilliant Business, where you can make comments, ask questions, share insights and takeaways from these presentations, and I will support you there, and all the other members of the Brilliant Business group will support you as well. If you haven't done so already, I also encourage you to like my business page on Facebook. Today's topic is really exciting to me. It's called Leaders and Followers, the Importance of Social Proof when it comes to social proof marketing. As always, I relate the subject matter of the day to one or more of the key performance areas of business that I defined in the book that I wrote in 2004 called The Foundation Factor. And today is all about marketing. This is about how you can improve your marketing effectiveness through the intelligent and appropriate use of social proof signals to your prospects and your clients. In the agenda today, we're going to talk about what is social proof and define that so we're all on the same page there. I'll give lots of examples of social proof. We'll talk about why social proof is so important, talk about different categories of social proof, and then I want to share with you some things I found in an article online called The 7 Things You Must Understand About Social Proof, and then we will get to the bottom line itself, as I always try to close up the meetings with that. So first of all, what is social proof? You all heard the expression, monkey see, monkey do. Well, as it turns out, it's not just monkey see, monkey do. It's also really smart people see, and really smart people do too. So you and I and everybody listening to this call, and even the most intelligent people that you know, are impacted with social proof marketing. They're impacted by the attitudes and the actions of those people that they interact with. Social proof from a technical psychological point of view is defined to be The informational social influence. It's a psychological phenomenon where in an attempt to reflect, where people have an attempt to reflect correct behavior for a given situation. The effective prominent in ambiguous social situations where people are unable to determine the appropriate mode of behavior and driven by the assumption that surrounding people possess more knowledge about the situation than we do. Let's think about that for a little bit. So generally speaking, to paraphrase this a little bit, it says that when we are confused, we look around us to see what other people are doing and what other people are saying as social signals that may help us be more comfortable in making a decision or engaging in a particular attitude or behavior ourselves. The reason we do that is because we don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to make mistakes that will ostracize us from the crowd or somehow draw attention to us, because we want to belong to crowds and we want to get along. This is fundamental human instinct. We want to get along with other people and we want to belong to our tribes, belong to our communities. So we look for social signals, especially when we are confused or don't know what to do, from the people around us. Here's some examples of social proof. The very simple example is tribe conformity or community conformity. We wear the clothes that other people wear. We cut our hair. We shave. We wear our beards. We speak the same language that the people around us do. In other words, we feel more comfortable fitting in and having some sense of conformity with our crowd, even if we're a rebel, even if we're in high school or college and we're wearing headbands and wearing long hair. We're still conforming to a different community. We may not be conforming to the larger community, but we are conforming to a smaller community in which we belong, because there may be some peer pressure there. And we all know the impact of peer pressure. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody's wearing makeup. Everybody's got Converse All-Stars tennis shoes. Everybody has this kind of backpack. All of my friends have a car. Why don't you smoke cigarettes? Everybody's smoking cigarettes. Or let's have a drink. Everybody's having a drink. Come on, don't you want to be part of the crowd? We all have felt the impact of peer pressure from time to time, and that's an example of social proof. In the worst cases, it becomes herd behavior, where we mindlessly follow the crowd without even thinking about whether or not the crowd knows what the heck they're doing. And I think in absolutely the worst cases, it becomes a mob mentality, where the mob itself, where the crowd is doing damage to people. They're doing damage to stores and crashing through windows, which by the way, we're likely to see some of that when the World Series comes to an end in the next few days. Regardless of which team wins, I can guarantee you that some people who are celebrating with the winning team's city are going to do some crazy illegal stuff because they're going to get caught up in a mob mentality, and it's going to be a way of expressing in some way. And that's really too bad, but it's certainly a feature of our society. You've all heard about the lemming effect, and I know that my folks once said to me, and as I said to my kids, if all of your friends were going to jump off a cliff, would you do that too? I don't know if you've ever found yourself saying that, but I know that I heard it, and I know that I have said it as well when we're trying to teach our kids the importance of thinking for themselves and making their own decisions and not following the crowd. We don't want them to be like lemmings who reportedly would just follow each other, off a cliff just because they're blindly going with the stampede of the herd. Another way of expressing that is what they call the bandwagon effect, which is a part of cognitive bias. When you study cognitive bias, which is a wonderful field of study, you'll see that there's the bandwagon effect there, and that is, again, a psychological term that says that people want to go along with the crowd, and that's what it's all about. Here's some more examples of when we go along with the crowd. One of the interesting things is employment offers come easier and more rapidly and more frequently for those who are employed. There is this subconscious opinion that most people have, in that if somebody is currently employed or was recently employed, say they've only been out of work, a couple of 3 weeks, that they are more employable and will make a better employee than, say, someone is who's been out of work for 6 months or for a year or so. So if you find yourself in that unfortunate or chosen position that you've been out of work for quite a long time, you're going to find it harder to find an employment offer because you don't have the social proof of a recent employment experience or a current employment experience. Sometimes when you go to theaters or you go to performances, you will find audience plants, people who have been hired or encouraged to applaud at particular points in the performance, to laugh at particular jokes in the performance, or in general to stimulate the rest of the audience to behave in a way that the performers or the actors want the audience to do. I know that there have been occasions where I have used audience plants in some of my calls or some of my presentations with particular questions or other sorts of things that I felt was in my best interest to do so. So that's an example of using social proof to get people to behave in a way in which you want them to behave. We've all listened to sitcoms on TV where we have the canned laughter. The canned laughter is there just to convince us that it's okay to laugh, that, hey, everybody's laughing at this place, or at least I can hear the laugh track, so it must be okay for me to laugh as well. Interestingly, some nightclubs, and I'm not an experienced person when it comes to nightclubs, but one of the common tactics that nightclubs use is that they will let people into the nightclub very slowly in order for the long line to build up and to maintain, which gives the idea to everybody else that this is a very popular place and it's difficult to get in. When they see that signal, when they see the line that's stretching a half a block or more, they think to themselves, wow, this must be a very cool place to be or a very good show to watch, so I'm going to stand in the line too. So even if the nightclub is relatively empty, the people at the door are instructed to only let in 2 or 3 people, every 5 minutes or so, because they want the line to build up, because that increases the social proof of that particular venue. We also see social proof in voting, especially when it comes to seeking consensus. I don't know if you've been on a jury before, but when you're on a jury, one of the things that we try to get is a unanimous verdict on the jury. And man, if you see yourself being the holdout in a trial, especially when there's been, a long jury sessions out there, they've been in deliberations for a long time, you're going to have a tremendous amount of peer pressure to conform to the crowd by joining in the consensus, so it can be a consensus. And another place we see that is in investments and donations. So if you're seeking donations, one of the best ways to get donations is by sharing some of the names and the number of people who are donating. That's why telethons work so well, because when in watching a telethon and seeing the people with the with the landlines, the phone banks with 20 people on them, always on the phone, and we shout out the number of people who are giving donations, that's nothing more than social proof marketing to convince us it's an appropriate thing to do, it's a customary thing to do, it's a popular thing to do, and so that we feel more comfortable in doing it for ourselves. Here's one of the favorite ones that I have seen. This is a McDonald's sign, for those of you who don't recognize it, and it says, billions and billions served. Well, when I was first going to McDonald's back in the 1950s, it didn't say billions and billions is served. It would say something like over 1 million served, or over 2 million, or over 5 million. We got a chance to see that sign change steadily over the years, until now the signs simply say billions and billions served. So what could be wrong about going to a McDonald's? Because so many people have done it before, it's very popular. In fact, it's one of the most popular franchises in the world through their very effective marketing. And one of the most important aspects of effective marketing at McDonald's has been this sign that used to say over millions served and now says billions and billions served. Let's ask ourselves the question about why social proof is so important in another particular way. Another way of looking at it is because there is a growing number of ads. I know that you know the statistics out there. I tried to look some up at the beginning of this call and wasn't able to find any one particular statistic out there. But some of the ones that I remember say that people today are subjected to 100 times or even 1,000 times more marketing messages every day today than they were 15 or 20 or 30 years ago. When the internet started to come into play in 1995 and people started to spend a lot more time online and we started to get a lot more emails, all of a sudden the number of the marketing messages that we saw went up tremendously. It would not be too uncommon for a person that just listened to the radio or just watched TV to see, or hear maybe a couple of hundred, maybe less than that, marketing messages a day. Now, because people are spending so much time online and receiving so many emails, we get a growing number of ads. And with that comes a growing skepticism of ads. One of the pieces of research I found online said that in a survey they did in January 2013, that 3% of people thought that all of the ads were very accurate, 21% of people thought that ads were somewhat accurate, 57% of people said that ads were somewhat exaggerated, and 19% of people said that ads were very exaggerated. That means 76%, over 3/4 of the people that see ads, have some sense of distrust or mistrust about that ad as being very exaggerated or somewhat exaggerated. So what that means for us when it comes to marketing our business is that we have to pay attention to that, because that distrust leads to ambiguity. That distrust leads to our prospects and our customers not knowing which direction to turn, not knowing who to believe, not knowing who to trust, and feeling very much uncomfortable with making a decision and becoming more indecisive because they don't trust advertising anymore. Here's some more statistics for you. 92% of consumers trust recommendations from friends and family. Well, that makes sense to me. Because if I know you and respect you, I feel like you're a person of integrity, authenticity, and honesty, I'm going to trust what you say more than other sources. 70% of people say they trust opinions posted online. 84% of Generation Y, that's the younger generation, report that user-generated content influences what they buy, which means they're online a lot and they're listening to what people say online. And here's a very interesting statistic, that 70% of baby boomers, which are typically people, I'm guessing 60 years old or older right now, maybe a little bit younger than that, but I think I was actually at the tail end of the baby boomer generation there. 70% of baby boomers are influenced by online opinions. So it's not just the young kids. It's not the 15-year-old, the 20-year-old, the 30-year-old, the 40-year-old. It's also the 60 and 70 and 80-year-olds that are heavily influenced by online opinions. Here's some more statistics. 85% of Americans used the internet to find a local business. 76% of Americans look at reviews for local businesses online, and that means Yelp and other sorts of review sources. And here's a fascinating one. The 72% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So for whatever reason, we have this sense that if somebody is posting an online review, that it's honest and it's reliable and it's believable as much as if we're talking to our next door neighbor or a close personal friend. That means it's really important for us who have online businesses, or anybody that has a business website, to have some sort of reviews, testimonials on our websites so that we are seen to be trustworthy by people who interact with us online. Here's some other social proof by the numbers as provided by socialproofcreative.com. Here's an example of social proof marketing. The towel reuse increased in a hotel by 33% when information cards were slipped into the hotel rooms that read, quote, 75% of customers who stayed in this room reused their towels, end quote. That is a classic example of user and follow-the-crowd social proof marketing. Here's another one. Restaurants have increased their sales of specific items 13 to 20% just by calling them the most popular. People want to know what other people are choosing. People want to know what people are using and what dishes people are enjoying at restaurants. So if we say this one's the most popular, or you could say the chef's choice, which is a different type of social proof marketing, it can increase and modify behavior dramatically. As it turns out, there are 5 different categories of social proof marketing. The first one is expert social proof. That is the doctor in the lab coat. So we've all seen advertisements on TV for some treatment or another that is championed by or positioned by and talked about by somebody in a lab coat. That's because experts are given more credence when it comes to do with specific types of marketing. So expert social proof marketing is a classic type of marketing and might be exactly the type of marketing for your business. Celebrity social proof is given a lot of credence, especially by the younger crowd. So when we see, Tiger Woods hawking a product, or Michael Jackson selling Pepsi-Cola, or George Clooney hawking a product, or some celebrity or athlete or entertainer of some kind telling us that they really like a product, we're looking at celebrity social proof. When somebody says, I use this product, and where they're giving user social proof, that also has great credence to us. So when we see experts, celebrities, and people who look just like us saying that they have used the product or recommend the product, it heavily influences our attitudes and our behaviors. Another couple of types of social proof are the wisdom of the crowd's social proof. So when you see that commercial for Coca-Cola where 10,000 people are standing on a mountaintop singing a song and holding up their bottles of Coca-Cola to the camera, it is a classic example of wisdom of the crowd's social proof marketing. If everybody is doing this, then it's something, I guess, that I ought to be doing too. And the last one is wisdom of your friends' social proof marketing. So that's when we go to Facebook or LinkedIn and we ask other people what they are using and what they're doing. That's when we go to Yelp and we look at Yelp and look at the reviews on Yelp, because we expect those to be, people in our local community. And even if it's just 1 or 2 people with whom we relate, the power of that marketing can have a big impact on our business. Here's another set of information that I found. 7 things that you must understand about social proof marketing. The source is a company called Kissmetrics, so I invite you to look them up online. As it turns out, there are a lot of marketing companies out there that specialize in social proof marketing. And this particular set of 7 came from a company called Kissmetrics. Here's number 1, that negative social proof marketing doesn't work. So if you say something like, 4 years ago, over 22 million single women did not vote, and you're trying to encourage single women to vote, you've done exactly the opposite. You've done exactly the wrong thing, because what you said is that, well, if 22 million single people didn't vote, well, I guess it can't be wrong, then maybe I don't have to vote either. So that was an example of negative social proof marketing that absolutely backfired for the people who were trying to influence people, in this particular case, to vote. Here's another one, that positive social proof marketing is more important than saving money. What Kissmetrics found was that if you say 77% of the people do a particular thing, that's more effective than saying save 20% on if you act now. So if your marketing messages do not contain any social proof and all they do is offer discounts, then you may find that your marketing to be much more effective if you offer a lot of testimonials and a lot of social proof, expert social proof, celebrity social proof, user social proof, wisdom of the crowd social proof, wisdom of the friends social proof will be a lot more effective for your marketing than offering a discount. Here's a classic example of one, and they're point number 3, that social proof works better with pictures because pictures evoke trust, and so you always put them in your testimonial, and high-quality pictures are best. Here's an example of one. Here's a smiling guy. He looks like he's professional. He's wearing a sport jacket. He's got a nice white-collared shirt on. It's got a little bit of flavor to it. It says the name of his company right down in the lower right-hand corner. Then he gives a pitch for HubSpot. HubSpot is the perfect marketing tool for our business because it has the marketing automation power to help us grow our sales pipeline, market presence, and provide effective analytics to understand what's working and what's not, and how to fix what's not. Then it lists his name, lists the company that he's working for, and in this particular case, gives a clickable link so somebody can hear the rest of the story on this. This is a great example of social proof marketing. So if you decide to do social proof with your business, point number 3 from Kissmetrics says use pictures, and this is a great example of how to do just that. Point number 4 is that people are influenced by similar people. So note it, to really nail your buyer's persona, the people that you want to attract, and then put social proof in your marketing spots that are designed to make people more comfortable with the testimonials and with the referrals, because it's people that look like they look like. So people are influenced by similar people. They're influenced by people they consider to be friends and they consider to be trustworthy. Always remember that stories connect deeply with people. They're point number 5, because people relate to stories and remember them. One of my favorite sales trainers, Eric Lofholm, says that stories suspend time. They suspend space. People get caught up and entranced in their stories. And here's a really good example of a story for marketing purposes. A story that says, I used to X, then I Y, and now I Z. For example, I used to weigh 250 pounds, and then I went on a Jenny Craig diet, and now I'm 50 pounds lighter. I used to be embarrassed about my car, and then I bought my new Honda Accord, and now I'm one of the most popular kids at school or at work. There's lots of examples of this type of before and after social proof marketing. So this may be a format that you can use in your marketing to tell a story that gets people to relate to you more and engage with you more. Number 6 is that authority rules. The halo effect is really prominent. The halo effect happens if somebody is perceived to be attractive, successful, or smart, and then their opinions are given more credence. So if we see Michael Jordan holding up a bag of potato chips and saying these potato chips are great, somehow our mind clicks that Michael Jordan, wow, one of the best or the best basketball players of all time, he must know his potato chips. When Michael Jordan may not know anything at all about potato chips. He didn't know anything about hitting a curveball. That's why he went back in and won 3 more NBA championships. But if we put a halo around him, because he has been so successful, because he has, he's perceived to be intelligent, and he's a fairly, I guess, attractive fellow to many people, we think his opinion about things that are totally unrelated, like who should be the next president of the United States, or what potato chips we should consume. We give him the halo effect, and we think that that's worth something. Number 7 is, I think, something very, very important to you, that it's better to have no proof than low proof. So in other words, if you don't do it right, then don't do it at all, because ineffective social proof marketing actually does the opposite for us. Because if we do something ineffectively, it will make people trust us less and will give us less credibility than if we do it right. And it will increase their distrust of us and will increase the ambiguity that they feel and the discomfort that they feel in making a decision in our behalf. And here's one more example for you to consider. When I was looking for social proof, I found this little thing online. Here's somebody that says, I have nearly 71,000 subscribers to my email database. I have 25,000 fans on Facebook. 67,000 fans are following me on Twitter. 8,500 people are following me or connected to me on LinkedIn. 14,000 people have me in my YouTube circles. 1,600 people are following me on YouTube. This was Google Plus circles, rather. In YouTube, 1,700 people are following me on YouTube, and 2,779 people are following me on this particular social media platform that I don't even know what it is. The second I saw that, I thought to myself, wow, this person is pretty darn popular. They must have a lot of important things to say. People must like this person. I need to follow this person too. That's why it's really important for you to have lots of likes, big people, lots of people in your database, lots of people that you're connecting to on Google Plus and LinkedIn, because of the social proof that it provides to anybody else who's considering having a relationship with you. So here's the bottom line. Social proof is important, and it's becoming more important over time because everyone is influenced by social signals, and ambiguity and confusion is increasing over time with the number of marketing messages that we all see. And also on the bottom line, there's a lot of simple things that you can do right now to increase your credibility and increase your results through employing social proof marketing techniques. In our agenda today, we were going to talk about what is social proof, offer some examples of social proof, talk about why social proof is important, and talk about different categories of social proof, and excerpts from the article I found on 7 things that you must understand about social proof, and then talk about the bottom line. I know that we talked about all those things, so here's your homework and your exercise. I want you to think about what you can do right now today to increase your social proof and increase the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns through the intelligent application of social proof marketing. Always ask for referrals and testimonials. Referrals are a type of social proof because people trust their friends and people that they know, and testimonials add to social proof because they lead credence and credibility to the offerings that you have and in your marketing materials online and in the brochures that you create. And don't do it, either do it right or don't do it at all, because if you make a mistake and you don't employ social media, social marketing, social proof tactics correctly, then it will actually increase the distrust of you and drive people away. And as always, get coaching and support to accelerate your growth and progress in your business. In just a minute, we're going to have open questions and answers. First, comments and questions on the topic of the day, and then any other issues that you may want to talk about. I encourage you to talk to me about what your biggest takeaways are and what insights that you gain from this presentation, and let me know what you're going to focus on. When it comes to doing business with me, you'll find out that I'm a different type of fellow. I don't want a lot of your money. I just want you to get the support that you need, that you can use, and that you can afford to make great progress in your business right now. I don't want you to jump into the deep end of the swimming pool before you learn how to swim, and I don't believe that belief and persistence will guarantee your success. I think that you have to have a lot of education. I think you have to have a lot of other things in order to create a valid and viable business model so that you can follow that and build the business that you want to build. We offer here at Hoyt Management Group education, training, consulting, coaching, and our newest offering, growth management services. I just want you to know, in the spirit of social proof marketing, that I'm currently working as a part-time CFO for 3 companies. I might just be the great part-time CFO for your company. I worked with 10 companies the last month and 12 companies the month before and 10 companies the month before that. Some of those clients are consistent from month to month, and some of them are people who just came in to do an engagement for a short period of time because it was exactly what they needed to move their business forward. So I encourage you to sign up for our Business Growth Acceleration Kit online. You can go to paulhoyt.com/CEO bonus. You'll get a little article, not an article, but a miniature information product that I created called The 5 Choices of Winning CEOs, an article on 10 things that you should know about raising capital, some samples of my inspirational writings. As most of you know, in addition to being passionate about helping CEOs and entrepreneurs accelerate their growth and increase their success, I'm also passionate in advocating that people participate in their own personal and spiritual growth. So I've written a few books on those subjects and give you some samples at my Business Growth Acceleration Kit. You also get a free business clarity session that's in half an hour with either one of my senior consultants, Stephanie, or myself, and some surprise bonuses that we also offer for that. I think the value of that can be enormous. The feedback I'm getting from people who have watched the 5 Choices of Winning CEOs has been very, very good. So I'm very excited to offer that and continue to offer that. I encourage you to purchase my CEO training program called Beyond Business Survival. It's what you need to know when you're the CEO. And in the spirit of social proof marketing, This is a really nice thing that Nick Catricala said about the program when he went through it, that this program is worth 20 times more than the current price. I finally understand what I need to do to succeed in my business. And Nick could be my older brother. He's actually been in business for himself for over 30 years. So I was especially gratified that he said that he learned a lot from the program and that it was worth 20 times what I charged him for it. So I think it could be worth 20 times what I charged for it for you as well. Next week, our next office hours is going to be on November 3rd. I am not sure what the topic is going to be, so if you have something that you would like for me to research and or comment on and provide a session on, please go to paulssurvey.com and fill out the survey and do your homework. Now we're going to come into the last section of today's presentation, which is the questions and answers. First, comments and questions on the topic of the day, and then in any other issues that you might want to chat about. I'm really interested to know what your takeaways and insights are, and if you have ideas for next week's or a future office hours presentation, please go to paulssurvey.com and fill that out. So with that, we're going to open it up to questions and discussion points. So Stephanie, do we have any questions for today's session? If you are talking, Stephanie, I cannot hear you.
Well, sometimes it helps if you unmute yourself.
There you go.
I apologize about that. I double muted myself just to be sure. Okay, I've got one right here. I don't always listen to other people. I make up my own mind. How is social proof relevant to me?
You know, there are a lot of people out there that think that they don't listen to other people, and we do try to make up our own mind, and we don't follow the crowd. But my guess is that social proof marketing is relevant to you in a couple of ways. Number one is, my guess is that you really do listen to the opinions of people that you trust. So, for example, you may go to your doctor, and your doctor may advise you to do a particular thing or to purchase a particular product or even give a prescription to you. So you do listen to expert advice. You may listen to people online and people in radio, TV, and print advertisements who you do trust, to even if they are people who are in your particular market segment. I know that I talked earlier in the presentation about when I was in high school and college, I wasn't following the big crowd, but I was following a small crowd. I was conforming to the behavior that was popular in my small little community of friends. So what you may see yourself doing is following a smaller voice, listening to a smaller voice, or following the recommendations of a smaller crowd. But my guess is, because it's a very basic human instinct, that you are, in fact, impacted by social proof marketing in some particular way. And it probably is those people that you feel closest to and that small community of which you are a member. But as significant to that, even if you yourself pride yourself on being a person who does not follow the crowd and who always makes their own decisions, your community, your prospects, your customers are people who are following the crowd. So even if you see yourself as somebody who is not following the crowd, my belief is that your customers, your prospects, and your community is comprised of people who are following the crowd and who are heavily impacted by social proof marketing. So even if you see some resistance in accepting for yourself that you are one of those people, I strongly encourage you to employ the techniques that we've talked about today and the wisdom that we've talked about today in your own business to increase your own marketing effectiveness. Next question, Stephanie.
Excellent, excellent answer. Does the value of social proof vary with the type of product or service being offered?
Yeah, I think that it really does. And because the category of social proof marketing that you want to use with your particular product may be different than what I want to use with my product. So, for example, if your product is one which primarily increases a person's self-image or self-esteem, which could be, of the latest trend in fashion wear or eyeglasses, and you want to convince people that they will be more popular, that their self-image, their self-esteem may be increased, their popularity may be increased through the use of your product, then you would want to use celebrity social proof marketing. Find somebody who is respected by your particular prospect community and get them to give a testimonial for your product, because it's the celebrities which will convince those people that they will be more popular, better liked by using your product. On the other hand, if your product is one that is much more serious, say it's a medical device, a pharmacological product, maybe even some sort of the scientific instruments, then it's expert social proof marketing that you would want to use, because we won't really care whether or not the whole crowd uses it or says that it's great. What we really care about is whether or not the experts think that it is great. If you want to increase the impact that somebody is, if this is a very popular product, then user social proof or the wisdom of the crowd social proof might be exactly right. So it depends on your marketing messages. So marketing messages out there have to do with safety, they have to do with comfort, they have to do with self-esteem and self-image. If you're wanting somebody to feel safer, then you might have a policeman or a doctor in doing the social proof marketing. If you want people to feel more comfortable, then it might be people just like them, users or friends that they can relate to. And if you want somebody to feel like your particular product or service is going to help them feel more popular or be more popular or increase their own self-image and self-esteem, it might be the wisdom of the crowd social proof marketing or celebrity social proof marketing. So pay attention to who your user community is and what your value propositions are when you figure out what social proof marketing is just right for you. Next question, Stephanie.
You answered it a little bit, but the question is, how do I get social proof?
I think that you get social proof in a couple of different ways. Number one way is you ask for it. So if testimonials are important for your business, you ask for testimonials. And one of the best ways that you can ask for a testimonial is to give a testimonial. And that's actually one of the programs, after I did this research, is that I'm going to be engaging with over the course of the next several weeks, is giving testimonials and asking for testimonials in return. We see that on LinkedIn a lot because you can endorse somebody on LinkedIn, and whenever you do, the LinkedIn system automatically asks them for endorsement in return. But I'm going to reach out to my community of friends, my community of clients, my community of colleagues, and offer testimonials to them and ask for testimonials in return. So that's one of the best ways in which you can get the social proof marketing. The other way is simply to claim it. If I were to create an ad out there and put 1,000 people in that ad, and every one of them was buzzing and chattering about the effectiveness of the services that I provide and about how fantastic my information products are, that would be a sense of, not contrived is probably not the right word, but manufactured social proof. One of my colleagues in the CEO space community, Dr. David Gruder, talks about that a lot in terms of manufactured consent, which has come from a book called Propaganda by a guy named Edward Bernays, put out in the 20s and 30s, where he was one of the fathers of modern marketing, was actually one of the fathers of modern social proof marketing through manufactured consent. So we can ask for testimonials, or we can manufacture a sense of consensus and a sense of social proof marketing through our own marketing techniques. So there's a lot of ways to do it, depending upon how we want to send those social proof signals to our particular customer and prospect base. Next question, Stephanie.
Well, it's interesting. I was thinking one of my favorite examples of social proof, and I don't know, this may seem kind of silly, but I love to cook. And whenever I go to my favorite recipe site, I never, ever, ever choose a recipe without looking at all the reviews and see what other people have said and what additions or what changes or what they didn't like and what they did like. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I was just thinking during the call how, because I was one of those people where I was thinking, oh, I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that. And the more that I listened to you, the more I realized was how powerful it is and how it's such a part of our lives that we don't even realize it.
Thank you for that. That's a great comment. I really appreciate that. And now I'm getting hungry too, because you must be a pretty darn good cook. What other questions do we have, Stephanie?
No other questions. Do you have any other favorite examples of social proof?
I do belong to a community called CEO Space Community where social proof is really, really important in that community. What we see in that community is people have the opportunity to engage with a lot of different mentors and faculty members, and there's nothing more important in that environment than social proof, because people ask people all the time, their fellow members who they trust because they're in the same community, is, have you worked with this person and what was your experience with that person? It's just the way that community purchases products and services is through references and referrals from other people. They're all the time questioning their colleagues about the effectiveness of working with other people. And I'm just thrilled that I enjoy a great reputation in that community because of the work that I do with people in that community. I think that I would, like you, Stephanie, was one of those people that says I really don't follow the crowd until I realized, well, I do follow the crowd. I'm just following a different crowd. I'm following a smaller crowd. I'm following the crowd of my peers, those who, encourage me to smoke cigarettes and drink beer, those who encourage me to wear flower-printed shirts and, wear a headband when I was in college. And now the community that I follow that encourages me not to smoke cigarettes and drink beer, that encourages me not to eat so much red meat, that encourages me to drink healthy drinks in the morning and to get plenty of sleep at night and to have a great exercise program and all those other wonderful forms of encouragement that I get from the people that I surround myself with, who are very healthy and very happy and very enlightened and conscious, and their recommendations mean a lot to me because I respect their energy and I respect who they are. So I'm following their social signals and I'm watching their attitudes and their behaviors and listening to their discussions because I respect them, because I value them, because in many ways I want to be like them and I want to be liked by them. So I think that we all do that. It's part of the natural human instinct. As I said earlier in the presentation, we all want to belong and we all want to get along. And I want to get along with you, and I want you to belong to a part of my community too. So if you're listening to this, please go to paulhoyt.com, sign up for some free stuff, join the Office Hours Tribe so you can have an opportunity to attend these sessions live and ask your own questions and listen to all of the recordings and have access to this library too. As I started out, I will end. I really care about you. I want you to succeed in whatever way success means to you. I want you to find the greatness, the happiness, the divinity within yourself, remember it and embrace it and live it every day just as I try to do. So until we meet again the next time, this is Paul Hoyt wishing you a most marvelous and prosperous day. Bye-bye.